everyone, and welcome. Welcome to our webinar. We have a couple of really special guests today. So for those of you who are our regular fans and followers, I'm so excited to have you here. And then we have some new people that I'm sure joined because you're familiar with our guests. So I have, I consider him the famous Ben Kinney. So he is my co-founder and partner here at Forward Coaching. He is the leader of Place Inc., which many of you know lots and lots about. Those of you who do not, well, look it up and you'll find out some interesting things. And then Fred Said, who's one of my good friends and a fabulous team leader here in truly one of the most competitive markets, I think, in the country, Fred, here in Orange County, California. So as Fred shares some of the things that his team is doing to succeed, I want to let you guys all know that it is really not easy here. In this moment, I know some of your markets, you've seen surges, you've got lots of inventory coming. That's not the way it is in Orange County right now, right, Fred?
No, not at all.
It's a bad.
Yeah.
So he tells you what's working for his team. I think you'll know you can take that and apply that. But you know, Ben, a while back, you were talking about 2025 was the year of the grind, but 2026 should really be the year of systems, efficiency, and really preparing their business for the surge ahead. And I know some are seeing that, and then some are saying, but wait, you know, then this Iran thing happened and rates aren't dropping, and what is that going to do to this year? And some of them are feeling a little bit stressed about that. What are your thoughts about the year ahead?
Good to be here. Good to be here, Debbie. I'm getting a little bit of audio pushback. Is anybody else hearing that, or is it just me?
You sound okay.
Okay, great. Good to be here, Debbie. Good to be here, Fred. I'm excited to spend some time with you all and everybody that's on the call. Thank you for being here. Go into chat. Let us know where you're from and where you're sitting at, just so I can see some names pop up. It means the world to all of us that are sitting here hosting and talking. Here's the fact that I know. 80% of things that you worry about never happen. And the 20% that do, you can't ever change. Therefore, every minute and second you spend worrying actually just harms you and holds you back. So our most important thing that we can do is put all that stuff that's happening, have empathy for it, but put it on the shelf and get back to work. And let's take advantage of what's going to happen this year and next year and the year after, because we've had 3.5, 4 years of consecutive, the lowest number of real estate transactions on average in 30 plus years. That can't sustain forever because people are getting married and people are getting divorced and people are making babies and people are getting new jobs and people are moving here and going there and doing all those sorts of things. Transactions have to start moving, and we're going to get back up to a normal market, if not this year, next year. Rates will drop this year. My predictions are we will hit 5.5% minimum this year. I have a lot of people that disagree, but you can all write this note down on today's date that Ben predicted that, and we'll see if I end up being right. But let's start off with a visual, and then I'll turn it over to Fred and Deb for some more combos. But if you read about history and you go back into the 1900s and you read about what happened in the kind of the Great Recession, and especially in the Midwest, it was called the Dust Bowl. And the reason it was called the Dust Bowl, Deb, was the farmers farmed everything. They plowed everything. They planted everything on the same day. And when they were out of season, all the winds would blow all the topsoil away. And what happened over years and years of over farming was all the good soil blew away to far, far away, and they couldn't get anything to grow. And it dried up, and people started to starve, and people had to move. Well, what was the fix? The fix was very simple. was any good farmer in the world knows now that you need to have at least 4 fields. And that's what I would leave you all like as a message to think about today is what are your 4 fields? So let me walk through it real quick. Let's pretend that we have, or maybe you do, you have a piece of paper and you take this piece of paper and you draw a line down the middle here and you draw a line down the middle here. You end up with 4 separate squares. Follow me, Fred? This first field, we'll call this field number 1. That's the field that just got plowed. This is it's ready for opportunity. In our business, Deb, these are all the people we haven't met yet. These are all the opportunities that are out in our market that could come into our open houses, that are sitting at home waiting for a piece of marketing or a phone call, the people that we could go network with, the door knock, the internet leads. That's everybody. That's opportunity and it's great, but opportunity doesn't taste good and you can't buy burgers with opportunity. The second field are the fields that you've actually planted. These are each one of these fields, they've been plowed, they have seeds in there, you started to water it, and it's starting to grow. In our business, these are all the people that we've met, that we've had a conversation with, that know us by name, but they're not necessarily doing business with us yet. We're building relationships, whether we're trying to grow our team and recruit, or we're trying to get these people to list or to buy or to invest with us or to use our consumer services like mortgage and title or whatever you're offering today. The third field is where it starts to get exciting. You start seeing the corn grow up and you start seeing the corn starting to form on the stalk, and you see the beans growing on the bean pods, and you see the pumpkins starting to take shape because we're watering it and we're nurturing it and we're building relationships. In our business, these are people that we're coaching. These are people that we're showing homes to. These are people that we're doing CMAs for. These are people that are actively sending us referrals. And the last field is the field that the farmers want to live in all year, but it's not possible. This is the field that you get to harvest. This is the deals that get closed and the people that join you and the listings that get taken. We all want to be in the fourth field every single day, but you don't get the fourth field unless you work the first 3. You got to do the work, plow, identify where you're going to plant. You got to get it planted. You got to nurture, water, take care of it, and you got to be patient. And those that patiently work all 4 fields will outperform anybody else in the long run because they understand that business is a long-term game.
You know, Ben, when you were saying that, it made me think about some of the people here. I'm just curious if you've lived through a market before where it had been very repressed and then it broke and the surge happened, because I have. And Fred, you probably have. Now, mine goes back even further than yours because I started a long, long time ago in a land far away when I was 18 years old. But when I got into the business, my first year fixed rates went to 18% and they stayed very high. And I kept working and doing everything that Ben told me, just told all of you to do. Fortunately, I had a great mentor and coach at the time that kicked my buns and made me do it. But then suddenly the day came where the rates started to drop. And it was literally like the floodgates opened. Then I remember one month, I took 20 listings and they were all past clients. I had worked with a lot of first-time home buyers, and now those first-time home buyers could afford to move up, and it just exploded. Now, did that pace last forever? No, it's like a dam burst. Well, then it kind of calms down and normalized. But that is the surge that will happen, which is why we need to be getting ready for it today. And Fred, maybe you have some experience like that as well to share.
Well, it reminds me of 2008, 9, and 10 when the market crashed and it rebounded. And then the foreclosure inventory and short sales started to kind of decrease and go away. And I remember Southern California in 2011, 12. And then 13, it was off to the races. Buyers came back in the market. They realized the market is rebounding. We hit the bottom of that market and it was off to the races. Now, rates weren't 2.5 or 3% like COVID time, right? But I feel like with what Ben just talked about, what we've talked about at nauseum for the past couple of years in a good way for our partners, ourselves, is that we want to be in that position where when that dam could break, that we can take advantage of it. Simultaneously, what I've been working on and the results we've been having the past couple of years, we've increased by 70% over the past couple of years in the down market when the market's decreased by 40% in SoCal, because we're not thinking that we're dependent on the market to help us with our results. We're going to go grind and follow the models, the systems, the metrics that work, and we're going to pound them hard to sustain the results, right? But when that market turns, then we can 2x or 3x or 4x and take our unfair share when that dam breaks, which we're excited about. But we're not waiting for it. We're in hopes that what we're doing already day to day should be able to provide for our families and be able to grow our businesses.
Everyone, Debbie was my first coach, and Debbie helped me grow through my hard times of the market shifting, the last major time that it shifted in 2008, 2009, 2010, and 11, and 12, and so on. So both Debbie and I have been through this before. And Fred's been in the business long enough. He's been through this before. The market always changes. It's just a matter of, are we going to change with it? Are we going to adapt? And are we going to take advantage of the harvest, the unique harvest that happens in every single market? If this is resonating with you, do me a favor, go in the chat. Just give us a thought. Tell us you're listening. Give us maybe a feeling about the 4 fields where you're at. What I do with my team is I say, all right, here's the 4 fields like I just explained. Field 1 is unlimited. It's all the people that live in our area. But field 2, these are all the people that we have leads in our database, for instance. So you might go ahead and you say, all right, I'm going to add up field 2. How many people do I have? Well, I have 350 people currently in my Brivity CRM that I'm nurturing, past clients, friends, leads, whatever it may be. Or I have 3,000 or I have 30,000, whatever it is. Great. Of those people, how many are you actively in conversation with? Write that number down. And then how many people did you actually close last month? Write that number down. And you can start seeing where your gaps are and which fields aren't being worked hard enough. Most of you have more leads than you'll ever need. It's that second and third field that you're not really moving into relationship and getting them into taking action and being urgent about the opportunities that are there today that stops you from filling up that harvest field with enough transactions every single month.
You know, as you were talking, Ben, about my mind went to there are more people in the world we don't know than people,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes we have to talk to them, right? And I think some of you here may feel like I just like to work with the people I know. Well, that's been problematic because some of those people love you, but they're not moving. Fred, I know your team has been reaching out tremendously to the just entire markets, community, people you don't know. And I want you to share a little bit about that. But Ben, before we do, you mentioned Brivity. Many of you here may actually use Brivity CRM, Brivity, which has incredible follow-up systems. You often say, get your sphere in gear, right, Ben? And my concern, and I hope they'll take away today, it is time to get that sphere in gear. Because when many people come to me for coaching, probably 85% say, I have people that love me. I do most of my business from people I know, but I don't stay in touch, but I don't call them. And I think that's really dangerous right now when we could be seeing ahead of us where some of these people are going to get off the fence and go start to do things. And if you're not top of mind, you may not be the one that they come to.
100%. Any Brivity fans, go into chat and just let me know if you're a Brivity fan.
What kind of conversations are you telling your team to have with their sphere right now?
One, it's it's agents tend to say, I don't know what to say when I reach out to my sphere.
Yeah.
And because of that, they freeze and they take no action. So I give them my best script for sphere, and you aren't going to be happy when you hear it, but here it is. So if I called Fred and Fred said hello, I would simply say, Fred, it's Ben. How are you? And then I would shut
Good.
up.
Wow.
That was it. That's all you got to do.
Mhm.
Like when you think about what our job is in real estate is to let people know that we're still working, that we're out there, and that we care. How are you? And you listen. What's going on in your world? How's the family? How's work? What are you excited about this year? That's the most important piece. Now, you can also learn like direct ask scripts. The one Debbie taught me, hey, just out of curiosity, do you have any real estate related plans this year? Uh, which you have to use, but you don't get to use it until you've done the first part. A really crass joke that Debbie's going to roll her eyes at. We got to stop skipping the foreplay. Like we got to make sure that we do enough work up front and we're building rapport and we're getting people to know that truly we care. And then you can say things like, "Hey, I know you love your home, but is it the home you want to be in for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years?" The reason I ask is at some point this year, rates are going to drop, and there's going to be a window of time where there's some excess inventory, and there's going to be some good deals. And I don't want you to miss out on that because I didn't take the time to ask you, is that something you would be open to finding your next dream home? It's okay to have those type of conversations. If they say no, it actually doesn't hurt. I've tried. I've never once been stabbed by somebody for asking them if they had any plans this year.
And Ben, I think it makes it more interesting as you call your sphere to look at that person and say, okay, who are they? What would make sense? If I could, as their real estate advisor, put an opportunity in front of them, would it make sense to suggest, goodness, you live in that 5 bedroom house, your kids are all grown and gone. Have you guys ever thought about moving downtown, something cool, something hip, something fun, get rid of all that headache and that maintenance? Has that ever occurred to you? Or, hey, Fred, I know you have a ton of equity in your home, and I know you want to, finish raising your kids and getting them through school. So I'm sure you're not planning to move. Have you ever thought about buying just a small little investment house that could fund your child's education? I could show you some numbers. I have a weird thought that if you guys did not get paid a commission, if you were real estate social workers, you would do a lot more to help people build their wealth by investing in real estate. Somehow you get hung up on the fact that you get paid for what you do, right?
Smart.
So
Yeah.
true. So true, Deb.
So, Fred, what else are you guys doing? What are the other fields that you're?
Well, I have a comment to make, and maybe it's a question towards both of you. But in all the years I've been doing this and the coaching I've done and training, and I know you guys have done a lot more than I have, it's safe to say that the number one lead generation pillar for experienced agents or teams is sphere of influence, SOI, and past clients. On average, I've seen 35, 45% of their revenue comes from that. Would you guys agree? Typically?
If you added open houses and prospecting to canceled expired FSBOs, it's literally 80% of all transactions in America.
Yeah.
Internet is a small piece, even though
Yep.
people like to exaggerate it, and marketing's even a smaller piece. It's literally 70 or 80% of all transactions in America. Sphere, open houses, I also include door knocking and canceled expired FSBOs, notice of
Yeah.
defaults, and notice of trustee sales.
Yeah. 100%. So for us, sphere and past clients and referrals from those two sources are huge, right? Important for us. That's been probably 45 or 48% of our business for the past 10 years, every single year as the business has grown. The second pillar that we lean heavy into, I would say probably post-COVID, was open houses. We realized in Southern California, the one thing that we can trust on, the one thing that matters, that the fastest source of business, I would say, other than the acronym for a FSBO, has been open houses. Because when you're belly to belly with these consumers and you're shaking their hand and you're getting to know them, there's a higher likelihood that you can capture their information, build rapport, and then convert to a buyer consultation, listing consultation. And open houses are available anywhere in any type of market, and you can pick the price point and the geo area you want to target, if anything. But with us, we've been able to do that, but it's not just putting up some signs and hoping and praying a cash buyer walks in and closes tomorrow. You got to be strategic with it, right? Debbie, you and I have talked many times on webinars about how we do our open houses strategically. But I think one of the best things that we ever did, and the lesson that Ben taught me years ago, was the initial Ben script for open houses. And I think the one thing that agents would have more success in open houses if they did that script is identifying immediately if they're a buyer or seller. And when people walk in, they say, my name is Fred. What's your name? John, nice to meet you. People come to my open houses for one of two reasons. Number one, they're a homeowner in the area thinking about selling, or number two, they're a buyer out shopping. Which one are you? Like, Ben, I don't know when you created that script, probably, I don't know, 15 years ago, 18 years ago. But that's been a game changer for us.
You know, here's the biggest secret in the world, Fred. This is another eye roll, but not an inappropriate one. Here's what I figured out. Is that most people live somewhere. It's a stupid line, but once you understand and believe that, and you understand statistically in the United States, 65% of people you meet own a home, at that point right there, you're going to start asking everybody, not just if they want to buy, but if they own a home.
Yep.
That's how I came up with that script and why, Fred.
Got it. Yeah, it's been a game changer for us. So open houses is important, but something that Ben mentioned with the 4 quadrants that I think has been the biggest game changer. So for us, we're going to close out the first quarter in 2 weeks with the best first quarter we've ever had in our careers as a team in a down market, right? And that's a result of the follow-up that we've been doing for the second half of 2025. So what we call follow-up in our world is just what we call ferocious follow-up. It's a type of follow-up where no matter what, I'm willing to call a lead 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 times in a few weeks. I'm willing to get yelled at because they're saying, why are you calling me so many times? To get them on the phone, because the mindset we have around lead follow-up and Ben's quadrant analogy is that it's our job to get a hold of the lead. It's not their job to call us back.
That's
And
right.
when we understand that, right, we're diligent and we're maniacs in a beautiful way, by the way, when it comes to calling leads. And as long as I've done this, I've realized 2 analogies. Number one, you could be agent one. Agent one is out of 10 closed deal opportunities, 10 listings taken, 10 pendings, whatever it is, you only call lead once or twice, if any, because you're more passive and you might have some fear around it. But out of 10 opportunities, you only get 2 signed and 2 opportunities. 8 get taken by a more proactive and aggressive agent, let's say. But then agent number 2, who is more ferocious in follow-up, is hungry to get the business, who wants to provide for their families, who will do whatever it takes, ethically speaking. Out of the 10 opportunities, they'll get 8. 2 won't work with them because they think that you're too aggressive. You might follow up too much. But I realize I'd rather be the one that gets yelled at by 2, but feeds my family with 8, rather than the opposite. So that's a huge lesson that Ben talked about earlier.
You know, Fred, I've always had a thing in my head that if a couple of times a year someone didn't say to me, you're kind of aggressive, then I probably wasn't aggressive enough. And I want you guys to think about this for a moment. When he said ferocious follow-up, that doesn't mean you're hammering people, that you're rude, that you're trying to get them to do things they don't want to do. It's really coming more from that spirit of, I'm excited for you. I love that you're shopping in this area. I want to go find something off market. You know, call me back. Let's talk about it. It can be with that that's why I think new people have beginner's luck, because they're so excited, right? That they just keep calling and they're just so excited. And there was an MIT study, not just for real estate, but leads in general. You guys, some of you have heard me talk about it before, that 50% of leads are never followed up by salespeople at all. the 50% that are followed up, typically it's 1, 2, or 3 attempts, but the magic happens in 6 to 12 attempts and potentially 6 to 18 months. Someone on a Zoom we were on recently, Fred, I wish I could remember who so I could give them credit, said, when you haven't spoken to them, when they haven't picked up the phone, they're not ghosting you. They're not actively necessarily even avoiding you.
Right.
Ready. They're just busy. You didn't catch them
Mm.
at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why if your cadence of follow-up is consistent and every day, then you'll capture them at the right time. Somebody mentioned, I think a comment on the chat about is calling as effective as texting, right? So what I've done recently, and I kind of scaled it back, but years ago when I realized technology was getting um, everywhere. People were getting bombarded with robocalls, robotext a couple years ago. I realized just calling a lead and leaving a voicemail wasn't enough. So in our world, we would start with what we call triple tagging. So if you guys are taking notes, write this down. Triple tagging is I would call, leave a voicemail, hang up. I would text them simultaneously, and then I would send an email as well. So I wanted to have the highest return of possibility of them returning a contact. And so I call, voicemail, text, email. Then in recent years, email has gotten less prevalent, I would say, and I would just double tag. So every time I call somebody, I leave a voicemail, I'll text them simultaneously. Hey, John, it's Fred. Just left you a voicemail. Take a listen. Let me know when you can chat. So I have a higher likelihood of a two-way conversation if I call, leave a message, and send a text, not just one or the other. I want the highest probability of getting a return call back because if I can get them on the phone, then I can convert them to an appointment and provide my value.
The only thing I'd add to that, Fred, because I'm all for the triple attack, was after you send somebody a text, just put your phone up in the air on camera and record a message and be like,
Mm,
hey, Debbie, this is Ben. I just called you. Sorry to bombard you. I'm sending you a text and also an email because I don't want to for you to think I didn't respond quickly. I just saw your lead inquiry and I'm so excited to catch up. I'm with some clients for a little bit here. I'll try you again later, but feel free to text me back or call me literally anytime. I'm so excited to talk about your next step in this home buying experience. And then just hit send. And what that does is it shows them that you're a real human. And people
money.
like to do business with real humans, especially in a world where they're so bombarded with AI and junk and spam marketing attempts.
Yeah.
So, Ben, speaking of technology, since Fred brought it up, I wrote something down that you said once. You said technology is your leverage. And so one of the things I know we all know and love Land Voice, which is a great technology piece to help you access phone numbers. Because remember, we have to mind the rules around the do not call laws, right? We have to be mindful of that where you use great technologies that have already scrubbed that for you. But Ben, maybe you can talk big picture. For someone who really wants to grow their business, they don't have a lot of money to hire a big expensive admin. What are some of the ways you would advise them to use technology in this year?
You know, I was talking to somebody the other day, Fred, about them joining Place, and they said, well, I've been talking to some other people about joining this other company we have called Place. And I made a comment. I said, the first thing you should tell them is, I was so excited when I joined, and that was 5 years ago, but it is 100 times greater today than it was then.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
brevity is the same thing.
Yeah.
Technology is the same thing. AI is the same thing. The amount of things that I can do today with technology and with AI compared to what I could do 6 months or a year ago uh, is insane. It's just moving so quickly. But the purpose of technology is not to replace us, it's to enhance us. It's to take things off our plates so we can spend more time doing the things that people are actually willing to
Mm.
pay for, which is negotiating, sourcing, and finding the right opportunity, the right buyer, the property for these buyers, or the right price for these sellers. And you should ask yourself the question every day, what piece of technology am I missing that would give me a big block of my time back and then be willing to pay for it.
Mhm.
Because your time is the most valuable asset you have. And if you use your excess time to generate more business, it'll always pay an ROI.
Brivity Bob, many of you know Brivity Bob, right? He's our advisor over in our Brivity CRM. We were doing a webinar together, Ben, and he said the number one most underutilized tool in a CRM is just simply setting the reminder for yourself to call somebody back. And when that reminder comes up, actually calling them.
Doing it.
Do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you guys think about AI? How should we be using it? How will it impact business in the future?
Red?
I was going to say I'm going to lean on the expert who's creating it, Mr. Kenny, but I'll tell you how we're using it from a practical standpoint. We started using ChatGPT a while ago just to do property descriptions. Like I was never a writer. We sucked, right? When it came to that, but it writes fantastic property descriptions within the systems that we use within our, Brivity tech platform or stack that we have. There's so much that we use within it to obtain more information. But the way that I look at artificial intelligence right now, at least within our CRM or within what we do as realtors day to day, is I never look at it as a replacement to what we do. I get that question all the time. There's such a fear around it, which in the beginning I had some sort of fear until I started grasping it and using it. But if anything, it truly is like a right hand that can help you get better and better. I still rely on my staff in the office. I still rely on my beautiful virtual assistants in the Philippines that we use with Brivity VA. And they leverage AI as they can as well with any transaction based things that they need, property descriptions that they may need, information that they may need. I had a question the other day about California based disclosures, and I couldn't get a hold of my broker or my attorney, right? I literally said, hey, can you explain this specific section of this form in this state? And it beautifully read it out loud. And then I told the client and we moved on. Like something to that effect. It could be that helpful when it comes to your day-to-day business. As long as you adopt it, you understand it's here to stay for good, and you leverage it as a partner and or assistant to help you scale or kind of grow your business. But it reminds me of maybe one of you guys, both of you guys have taught me this. And that is when you want to scale your business or fix something in your business, it's either a piece of technology that you're missing or need to have. Number two, it's a system that you need to tweak or create, or it's a person that you have to hire. So it comes down to tech, systems, and or people, correct? And I think AI is involved in that now. It could be considered a person, it could be considered a system, it could be considered a tech. So if you understand that from a scalability standpoint, I think it could only help you.
We're we're asking the question right now, how will AI touch every task that a real estate professional, a loan officer, title escrow, closer, and home inspector does? And we're building it into every feature inside of our world. Some of the things that many of you will get access to shortly, if you don't already, we have a tool called Gabby. Gabby nurtures our leads for us. She calls, she texts, she works through building rapport and setting appointments with leads that are cold until they become warm. But Gabby also monitors your database and says, like, this person hasn't been called, or this person has an increase in activity. You should call this person. Gabby also automatically sets up market reports and listing alerts. We have a tool that creates job postings using AI and syndicates the job postings out to Indeed and all the major places to help us bring in talent. We have something called AI call coaching, where we role play every morning with our app to go in there and say, hey, today I want to practice FISBOs. And it allows us to role play with AI verbally and then gives us a score and recommendations at the end of it. I'm currently building in a listing presentation note-taking tool into your Brivity Go app so that you can hit one button in your listing presentation or your buyer consult or your recruiting presentation. It'll record your entire presentation, take notes, summarize it, create tasks,
Mhm.
but then grade you on the quality of your presentation and your actual skills so that you can get better. Like, think of this as ways to enhance us and to make us better and better and faster. But from
Yeah.
a personal perspective, I'll share a little side story. I built a social account a year ago for a hobby that I have, which is entirely nerdy, and I will not share what it is probably today. Uh, uh, for a personal hobby that I have. And I thought, you know what? Nobody in this hobby knows that Ben Kinney is this person. And so I don't have any of the benefit of being Ben or bringing my friends or those types in there. And I built it from scratch. I built a YouTube channel. I built an Instagram account. I built a following. I average over 1 million views a month on my Instagram. I've had 6.5 million views last month on YouTube alone. Every piece of content, every description, every image I managed myself. I took the photographs, I use AI to edit, I use AI to research, I use AI to write my actual content of my post, I use AI to optimize my social account and give me recommendations, I use AI to create the contest, I use all of that. And think of it from zero to 30,000 followers on Instagram and 1 million views a month. Think of it from zero to 300,000 subscribers on YouTube and millions of views every month from scratch using AI. That's how powerful it is.
That's insane. First of all, let's make that clear. Yeah, I didn't believe you when you first told me you were doing that on your own.
Dude,
Um, I didn't. I'm like, how is this guy doing this? And obviously, with the power of AI, you were able to do that, and that's incredible. And you even challenged me. You're like, dude, why can't agents do the same thing? What's their excuse?
well,
And
that
I
was
kind
kind
of,
of my goal, Fred, was to
yeah,
prove that any of us could do it,
yeah,
regardless of the industry,
yeah.
uh, leveraging technology today.
So Fred, can you, if we shift gears for a moment, I know you guys are very focused on listings, right? Because if you have listings, the buyers will come. But being smart and farming those listings, like I know one of the tools that some of you have access to, many of you do, is Remine, which allows you to filter and search a lot of different categories. How are you guys finding the must move people? Who, when you are going out into the community, because you have buyers that needs homes, how are your agents doing that?
Well, I could tell you from a non-tech standpoint. I know there's a tech standpoint, but I'll let Ben talk about Remind and the power behind that, right? But what we're doing, for example, we have a listing, and when we take a listing, we price it right, we market it right, we're going to sell it. So that's what's called a 1-to-1 ratio. I get a listing signed, and then I get a sale out of it. But the way that we think is almost three-dimensionally. I get a listing signed. How can I get 3 sales out of it within 90 days? That's the initial mentality, right? So we get that listing sold, list it, we get it sold. That's one. We do proper open houses, do them consistently, generate multiple leads, buyers, and sellers. That might be two. Then third, we'll post on social, get our database and our sphere of influence, knowing that we're doing business regularly, and we'll circle prospect and or door knock. And that should be our third. So any piece of business you get with a listing, it should turn into 3 additional pieces of business within 90 days when worked properly. And I always use the toothpaste analogy. Some people take toothpaste and when it's kind of done, they'll throw it in the trash. But I'm the kind of guy that takes that sucker and I roll that thing down with my elbows and my knees, and then I'll paperclip that thing so it stays that way for the next day, and I'll squeeze it 5 more days. Then I'll throw it away. I think of anything that I do like that. And when it comes to listings and when it comes to finding motivated people, the more people I can talk to, the more avenues I can work a piece of product that I can put out there to show that I'm doing what I'm doing, the more opportunities I can get. That's the manual labor aspect of it. But I'm sure Ben has some comments from a tech standpoint to be smarter.
No, I think that's the right approach. It's why I don't let anybody take a listing in my neighborhood. If I had to list a property for $1, I would take it because
Yeah.
I'm not going to let anybody in my neighborhood. I'm going to protect that business and I'm going to turn that one piece of business into two, three, four, five, or 10 pieces of business in the future. By the way, I've never had to do it for $1, but I would if I had to because one listing always turns into two buyers, if not three or four.
If it's worked, So I know, Fred, you guys have a very strong action plan that is your open house success program.
Mhm.
Also, you're not just holding open house on the weekends, right? This is something
No.
that does 7 days a week. Which,
Hmm.
Ben, do you remember that first event we did together in Orange County? And I invited Andrew to come and speak. And Andrew had owned a jewelry store for years. So he was used to people coming to his counter, right? And that was how he sold jewelry. When he got into the real estate business, open house made sense because it is that same kind of thing. So he begged and borrowed open houses far and wide. He didn't care where he went, 7 days a week, but he had to be properties that would allow him to hold it from 9 to 5. Put up his signs, knock the neighbors, work the plan that Fred just described. Guys, brand new in the business, did not purchase leads, did not do anything really but open house. He sold 42 homes, but he held something crazy, Ben. I'm trying to remember, it was something like 300 open houses. It was insane. Sellers would actually come to his door at his open house and say, "What are you doing? Nobody ever does this. I think I should list with you." His philosophy was, why would I sit at my home office or at the real estate office? I can sit here. I can put my earbuds in. I can sit here on my laptop. I can do my work. And if only one prospect or neighbor comes in, well, they wouldn't have walked into my home office. I do think sometimes we overcomplicate this, right? So Fred, as we're thinking about everybody being here today, we have a pretty large group. I guess I would wonder so far, if you guys have had a takeaway, something you'd go implement, if so, maybe type it in the chat box. Do you feel a little better? Ben and I, we're not big people about motivation. Like, we know if we motivate you in about 10 minutes after you leave, you'll just be back to normal. But I think purpose and strategy and tactics, to me, that is what inspires hope and action. So I'd love to see in the chat box to show appreciation of Ben and Fred. Did you get something out of today? Something that you'll go take action on? Because Fred, I think this really brings us to a moment here with everyone's patience and permission. I would love to have you talk to them just for a few minutes about this really crazy, interesting, awesome mastermind group that you've created. Because I do feel like real estate is a super lonely business. We're all in our little silo with all the crazy thoughts in our head, and some never even go to the physical office. So
Yeah.
a little bit about what you're doing in that mastermind group.
So we started, I learned this from Ben a long time ago. Ben's been doing masterminds for a long time. And I started training and coaching, I would say 10 or 12 years ago, online conventions, etc. And it got to the point where I had friends of mine and colleagues in Southern California that said, "Hey, you guys are growing, you're scaling. What are you doing with Ben? What are you doing with Debbie? What's going on with your business? Because it keeps doing this." And I said, "Hey, I'm an open book. What do you want to know?" I said, "Can we mastermind? Can we talk? Can we grow?" So 4 years ago, 2021, 2022, we started doing masterminds. We call them $1 billion masterminds in Southern California. We do big events, small events, and it kind of created an ecosystem of probably 500 or 700 agents that do anywhere from 4 to 200 units a year in Southern California. And it grew and it got amazing and people have gotten value. But then friends of mine, I'm sure a lot of you on this call are probably not in Southern California. They said, how do we get access to this information? How can you create a program or a mastermind where anybody wanted to subscribe or be a part of it? So Debbie and I put together kind of a program together with Ben and with all of us here at Forward Coaching. And that is, we want to be able to give you a mastermind platform where no matter where you're at, you can actually join our mastermind group, which you want me to, actually, you know what? I have a deck here. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys.
Fred, take it over. Debbie, you guys are awesome.
Cool.
Ben.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate you. So for those that are on, I want you to look at this. Give me 2 minutes, and I'm going to show you something. Because a lot of you, there's probably 20 or 25 names I recognize that have been asking for this. So Debbie and I put together this mastermind program. And imagine you had a call every single month, just like this call, that every single month, Ben, Chris Suarez, Chris Heller, Debbie joined for an hour, and we just talked about the topic of the month, whatever that is, and we're masterminding together. On top of that, inside of our system, the people that are there. So who is this right for? Anybody who's a team leader, who has a small team, a medium-sized team, thinking about building a team, any agents who are experienced, that are ready to just grow and scale their businesses. So you might want to do, you're doing 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 deals, but you want to get to 10, 12, 14, 15. You're by yourself as a solo agent, but man, you want to hire a virtual assistant. How do I hire them? How do I leverage them? You want to add buyer's agents to your team. How do I do that? I just want to build systems and operations to do 6 client events per year. How do I do that? We realize the coaching program might not be sufficient for that in this conversation. A coach, maybe plus this mastermind group that involves so many talented agents across the nation that are consistently masterminding and talking about what's there. Now, what's involved in this program, and we built this and we're literally launching it today, and the first call is going to be in 30 days, is we have 12 monthly 1-hour live virtual masterminds. All of these are recorded. They're with top industry professionals. They're only private to those that are in the mastermind program and that are a partner in the program. And they're every third Thursday of every month at 11 a.m. Number two, we actually realized not only do we want to do virtual, but we want to have an opportunity where every 6 months, we actually get together as a group. It could be 30, 50. We've had 300 people in our room before, right? And every 6 months in the fall and the spring, we invite you down to Southern California to join us for that full day mastermind in person. And then beyond that, we also have a library of all of the tools, systems that I've been able to build, Debbie, Ben, all of us. And in that situation, we've been able to share with you how we hire an agent, how we hire a virtual assistant, how we do our procedures and systems. Everything that we operate our team by in Southern California that we've been able to build, we share that with you. So this mastermind will provide the knowledge, tools, connections you need to be able to scale. So if you're in a position where you want explosive growth outside of what we talked about with Ben, Debbie, and I today, Debbie and I would love the opportunity to be able to invite you inside this mastermind group to be able to guide you through what a business looks like how we were able to scale our business from $99 million 2 years ago to we're going to hit $180 million this year, 2 years later in a down market. How were we able to do that? That's what we'll share, and that's what we'll talk about. The skills you'll develop is team prospecting, lead generation for the way that you want to do it or your future team. How do you improve your conversion rates in general? How do you get effective and efficient as a business owner, team leader, and whatever else you want to do when it comes to growing? And then how do you improve your database management? We talked about Sphere, friends and family, right, Debbie? But you can't do that on your cell phone. How do you do that to the point where you're growing from a systematic standpoint and growing your business, and obviously improve client experience and retention and your overall culture, team culture, and coaching that you have? And we talked about the way that we do events, and we share with you what events we actually do, how we set them up, who pays for them, and how we generate business as a result. So what we decided to do was create a program that was very nominal in cost. It is an annual program because we want you in for 12 months because the group benefits as a result of other people as well. And it's a nominal cost. It's $399 per month or $4,000 annually. And part of the reason we're charging for it is because the physical events that we're going to be doing on an annual basis or every 6 months, those cost a tremendous amount to be able to host. So as a mastermind group, what we did over the years in Southern California is everybody would contribute a certain amount, and that be able to fund the mastermind so we can keep it going. And coaching programs at Forward are amazing. What we do locally is amazing. Our businesses are great. But this is really for the individuals that are across the nation that aren't in our backyard, and some might be in our backyard that will join, that would love to join us in this mastermind program so Debbie and I can actually help you grow your businesses, stay in a connected environment, and be able to grow our businesses together. Debbie, any comments on that? Because you've been involved with this from day one with me the past couple of years.
Well, I love it because I think when you get so many great people together in a group, in a Zoom, in a room. It's just the ideas, right? That flow. But also, I know from your previous groups and opportunities,
Yeah.
some of the great referrals that have happened. And someone said to me, well, gosh, I want to join because I want to do, even if it just gets me,
Yeah.
deal, it'll more than pay for it. And I thought, but no, that's not the goal, right? The goal is we really want you to get a lot more deals. We want you to make a lot of friends and have these great connections
Yeah.
across the country. Orange County, California is not a bad place to visit. You can go to the beach, you can shop South Coast Plaza, you can go to Disneyland, make it a great trip.
Yeah.
Join us in person, and I think that is just such a nice group to hang out with because obviously they're all very proactive about growing and improving
Right.
business. So we have a lot of fun with them, that's for sure.
Yeah. So how about in the last few minutes, anything that we talked about today, Debbie and I, Ben and I, all of us, any questions you have about what we discussed, about anything whatsoever? We'll take a few minutes and answer some questions you may have. Any topics we talked about that triggered something outside of a kind of an aha of what you want to do, or any questions about the mastermind or about anything whatsoever.
Fred, as I was listening, I was thinking about something I read in a book this morning. It's just kind of random here, but it popped into my head that the universe rewards those who make decisions. And so it's really common and maybe when you haven't had a great start to your year where you're thinking, I don't know if I can invest in this. I would love to, but I'm scared. I'll think about it. Then you think about it. Then you don't do it. Um, Fred and I, this is really a labor of love. This is not a huge money maker for us because the events, as Fred said, are very expensive. We have staff that we have support this to make sure you have great service. So I just want you to know that you will get your money's worth. And I was just trying to think, Fred, for those that they're right on the edge and they want to make the decision, but they're just nervous,
Yeah.
what could we do for them? That would be a little bonus. I had this thought. We did not talk about this, so you can
No.
later if you want to. But I had,
Well, I have something for him if you want. It's up to you.
and then also,
Well, I would say, like I said, I have about 550 to 650 people in and out of the mastermind in SoCal. We put a hold on that recently because I told all those participants that we're changing it to make it a national mastermind so people can join on and still have the local events as well. But I look at this as like literally $399 a month, which is 4,800 or by the annual at 4,000, which covers Debbie and I's expenses really because Debbie and I make obviously a good amount of money selling real estate and do what we do. But this has been so popular the past couple of years that we just decided there's a need for it in many different ways. But anybody who signs up today who's on the fence, in addition to joining the mastermind, I'll commit to a one-on-one coaching session with them as well about their businesses, whether it's 30 minutes, 45, 60, to really dig deep so that I know more about your business. So when you join the mastermind, we know exactly what you may need to be able to grow your business. But I mean, overall, this has been a labor of love for me, and that's the way that I met Ben. I met Ben in 2018 because he was doing a mastermind, and his was 400 or 500 people in Washington State. He called it Win, Make, Give back then, right? If you remember. But that the knowledge I learned in that room, the relationships that I made in that room, um, have been unbelievable and have shaped me to the person I am today. And that's outside of just the referral channels that I've been able to do. I mean, I get anywhere from 5 to 10 referrals a month that get me 2 to 3 closings every 90 days just because of the people that I've met in the room across the nation. So that alone would more than pay for whatever you would invest in a group like this. But
well, you read my mind because that was exactly what I was going to ask you.
oh, really?
Because I'm thinking
Yeah.
your schedule is crazy.
Yeah.
I also know that, it's just like in anything we all do, there's always the few. I think of them,
Yeah.
few, the proud, the brave, right? The few, the
Yeah.
that are like, I want it. I want to forge ahead. So I didn't think
Yeah.
you would be swamped with 300 requests because it just doesn't work that way, right? And if you,
Yeah.
and it's not the right time, you're not ready, it's not your,
Yeah.
We totally get that. We do. But for those of you who say, yeah, I need it, my request though, because of Fred's time and his big offer here, is that you would need to register today, right? And now you can register on a follow-up that we may send you. That's totally fine because I'm sure Jess is going to send you the recording and some scripts, and you may decide on Monday. But for those of you who really say, yes, I'm in, I think, Fred, we should probably, because of your schedule, limit it to signing up by the end of the day today, unless you want to do something different.
Yeah, that's perfect. That sounds good to me. So when it comes to what we talked about today, I'd like to end on this, Debbie, if you're okay with it.
Sure.
I told my team this, and just give me 30 seconds. This could actually change your life. This message, it could change your mindset immediately. I said something to my team last week, and if you could write it down, this is what I said. I said, I want to know, but I don't care. I said, I want to know and I don't care. And here's what I mean. I want to know what's going on in the world. I'm from Iran, by the way. My father's in Tehran, so he's getting bombed right now. So when I say this from a heartful place. And that is, I want to know what's going on in the world. I want to know what's going on in the economy. I need to know. I'm in real estate. Like, that's what I do for a living. But I don't care. And when I say I don't care, I don't mean that in an insensitive way. I don't care what that does to my market, what my does to the rates, because no matter what's going on in the world, no matter the good, the bad, the ugly, I still have to wake up every single day and do my job. I got to wake up every single day and I got to go find a buyer and a seller who are motivated, and I got to get in their way. It doesn't matter what's going good or bad. People want shelter, they need housing, and I'm the right person to find them. And I feel like if you can have that mentality today moving forward, you'll find that opportunity that sometimes your mindset doesn't help you find. So that's my 2 cents on the sign off.
Well, our prayers are with your dad. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know you saw family.
Yeah. It's crazy. World's nuts. But
Yeah.
I got to keep my head straight. I got to provide for my family. And we just got to be some damn good humans out there. I want to know all of you are. And if there's an opportunity where we can mastermind together in the future, I'd love to see you every month and in person twice a year in Southern California. But Debbie, I appreciate your time. Everybody, thanks for joining us. Hope you got some value from today. And we're here to support you and serve you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye, guys.